be able to use to track you. The rental assistance scheme will pay the advance that is needed for you to be able to access the property, so that you will then pay monthly, every first of the month, then you will settle your rent. So we are looking at expanding on the rental assistance scheme so that that will come in to ensure that we can afford to rent. Now, generally, there is a lot of work that is going to go into urban planning and rural planning, because we have challenges now with spatial planning. There is a lot of work that is going to go into ensuring that what we are delivering is not only quantity but quality, well-planned housing, to ensure that Ghanaians are getting very decent housing and living standards. And I believe that that kind of captures Dr. Bawumia's manifesto as far as housing is concerned, to ensure that the vulnerable are covered, those who want to own homes are covered, those who can afford are covered, those who cannot afford but want to own their own homes are given a chance or a way by which they can also own their own homes. Those who want to rent will have the options to rent, and then those who want to live well also will have good communities to live in. So I'll end it here, and I believe that my colleagues will also have something to share on their sectors. Thank you very much.
The next presenter, a presentation on energy, making energy available, accessible, and affordable. One major complaint is the high cost of power. And yet we all do know that power is the lifeblood of both domestic existence and also industrial production. Now, to make the presentation on behalf of the group is Mr. Kojo Nsafwa Puku.
All right, thank you. As you've seen the way the DMB manifesto is set up and how we want to present it, we told you how we're going to get you a roof over your head. When you have a roof over your head, you now tell you how you're going to eat. So Agric has done it, roof over your head. Then the next thing is energy. We realize that the energy sector is by far one of the most important sectors that we have in Ghana today. The upstream provides the funding for the social and infrastructure programs that we have in Ghana. The downstream is our petroleum products, which mostly everybody knows that when the price of petroleum products goes up, it affects food, it affects everything that we have in the country. And it also goes to reduce what you call disposable income, which is the small money you have in your pocket after you've paid off all the things you have. When we look at the power sector is a difference between a president doing 4 terms, a president doing 4 years, and a president doing 8 years. We all know what we are talking about here when the power sector is not the way it's supposed to be. Then we look at how Dr. Bawumia wants to address this. We want to reduce the cost of living. And in the MPP manifesto, we have decided to do that with 4 pillars: affordability, accessibility, reliability, and quality. Okay, so let's take affordability. Now, we all know that when electricity prices go up, it becomes a challenge for everybody. So the leadership of Dr. Bawumia has proposed to introduce 2,000 megawatts of solar. The 2,000 megawatts of solar will go a long way to basically help us with the growth that we have year on year in the energy sector. Because if you do not plan to increase your power generation, you get to the point where you do not have enough generation capacity in the country. But what is the difference with going solar? As we've all heard Dr. Bawumia said over and over, we have to move away from oil and gas and go with solar. Solar is, the sun is there, it's free. Now, the biggest challenge we have is that the thermal that we have is 73% generation. Our generation mix is made up of the hydro, thermals, and some solar, about 134 megawatts of solar. But in large, 73% of our generation today is with thermal. And the huge cost that goes into the thermal is your gas and your HFO liquid fuel. If we are able to now have a generation mix that is heavily on solar, as we've always heard, we can reduce the cost of electricity as low as 50%. So that goes towards the affordability of what Dr. Bawumia is trying to do, which is bringing in the 2,000 megawatts to help us with what? Affordability. Then we go to the second policy that we have, which is we want to develop a framework to set aside cheaper fuel for industries. We have a lot of industries that are not doing well in Ghana because the energy cost is high. If we go solar and we're able to get solar at 6 cents as compared to today, thermal at about 12 to 13 cents, then we're able to give some cheaper power to the industries. Now, if you're looking at the lithiums, you're looking at manganese, allied, all these companies are coming in and they're looking at 2 cents, 3 cents at most for power. So we can give some of that Kosombo generation, which is hydro, which is around 3 cents, to the new emerging technology. We have a lot of manufacturing that we want to promote in Ghana. Dr. Bawumia has a policy that says, buy Ghana first. For us to make what? Ghana produce, our made in Ghana goods effective, cheaper, we need to give them what? Affordable power. So by giving affordable power, ring fencing a certain amount of cheap electricity for these industries, we tend to what? Grow our industries, bring a lot of growth, and that also go in a long way, not only reducing the cost of living by doing what? Making sure that a lot of youth get jobs. So the affordability side, which is ring fencing a certain amount of electricity for industries, also will help to promote industry and bring jobs, and makes us pay less for electricity. We pay less for electricity, all the rest is history. Everybody knows that we can now have a reduced cost of living. The third part of the affordability is petroleum. The energy sector deals with energy, which is power, deals with energy, which is petroleum. When petroleum prices go up, we all feel it. When electricity prices go up, we all feel it. We introduced G4O, gold for oil policy, which helped a lot. A lot of people don't understand how the gold for oil helped. I will take a minute to explain. We have something called the supplier's premium. We have the cost of the product, which we can't do anything about because it's the world market price. But when the OTC, the oil trading company, is bringing that product into Ghana, there is a supplier's premium that they add. In the past, before gold for oil, there's only a few companies that were bringing products into Ghana. So nobody locally has a say on how much the supplier's premium is. With the introduction of gold for oil, the supplier's premium went down as low as from $120 to $30 per metric ton. So it means that today, if there were no gold for oil, the supplier's premium will still be high. We've only gotten about 30% market share for gold for oil. The manifesto seeks to expand gold for oil so that we will now creep up into about 60% of market share, so we can now bring a lot more cheaper products into the market and basically help to drive down the supplier's premium further. Reliability. We all want our lights to be on. Is to now introduce what we call the retail market. The last mile of ECG will bring in what we call private sector participation, PSP, to now take up the retail part. So your metering will be done by a private company. Your customer service will be done by a private company. When we take that part away from ECG, we think that we'll be able to introduce that quality that Ghanaians deserve. Because there's no point trying to live a good life and you can't now go and report and you get immediate action on the report of electricity that you have. Then we now go into accessibility. As at now, we have about 85% of electricity across the country. With the introduction of the 2,000 megawatts, we can easily go in and give Ghana 100% electricity accessibility by the end of the 4 years. Because we no longer have to rely on SHEP. with the SHEP Rural Electrification Program, we need to draw the Akosombo or the thermal lines to these areas. With solar, you can do what is called off-grid solutions. So we'll go to these communities where we have the who are not on the grid and build solar for those communities to basically immediately give them electricity. Today we are talking about other things like affordability. For somebody who doesn't have electricity, cost of living is very bad. So when we're able to now improve the standard of living of these people and giving them solar, they will be able to reduce the cost of living that they have. The last point I want to make is the issue of bringing in issues that will impact the life of Ghanaians. Look, Manifesto is not just about a document that nobody reads. I think Ghanaians should look at the MPP Manifesto more carefully. Page 178 to some parts of the manifesto talks about all the energy policies that we have. Let's not let others, okay, introduce policies that do not solve your problems. The MPP Manifesto has solutions that solves your problems, and I think you guys would make sure that you understand that policy well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kojo Nsafuapoko, for the brilliant exposition on energy supply, access, and affordability. I think the last one to be spoken to is with respect to transportation. Yes, madam.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon to everyone. We've eaten, or we'll eat, we'll sleep. And when Mr. Nsapua gets his fuel, he cannot carry it in gallons. They have to go into vehicles for them to move. And that is what I'm here to talk about. And with all that we've spoken about, the fulcrum of everything when it comes to cost of living is transportation. And how do we get this reduced as compared to what is happening now? And for someone like me who comes from one of the poorest regions in this country, anything that has to do with reducing cost of living, and especially when it's going to be done and championed by a leader who believes in making bold decisions and achieving bold solutions through selfless leadership, and understanding that leadership is service and leading is solving. That is why I'm here this afternoon. So there are 4 key things that Dr. Bawumia's led government, if voted in power, and I believe after this, Ghanaians will be more convinced to give him the mandate to lead this country, because we can't go back. We need to go for it. The world is moving and we need to catch up. So there are 4 key things that we are going to do, led by Dr. Bawumia. And the first one is EV transportation, that's electric vehicle transportation. We've heard about it. There are people who are still using, who are already using them. So it's not something that is not possible. And how are we going to do this? We all know that when it comes to regulation, when it comes to policy making, and when it comes to regulation, is the government that has to lead it, is the state that has to lead it, and we mandate the President of the Republic to lead in that charge. So with that, we are going to look at having a comprehensive strategy of bringing in electric vehicles and also encouraging the assembling of it. And we've done something like that already for vehicles that use fossil fuels. We have about 5 assembling plants already, but we need to move where the world is moving, and the world is moving EV. So that's what we are going to do. So as part of government's strategy, when Dr. Bawumia is giving the mandate, there will be a comprehensive strategy to ensure that EV vehicles, especially for public transport, which all of us use one way or the other, it's made accessible. And one may ask, these vehicles need to be charged. How are we going to get them charged? Will I move from here to maybe Hamile and not have a place to charge them? Government is going to invest. And you know the New Patriotic Party and what we believe in. We believe in the private sector. and we are really going to collaborate with the private sector to make sure that these things are being done, especially when it comes to those already in the energy sector. The second one is availability of parts. I mean, these EV vehicles run on parts, apart from having a cheaper mode of moving them around. And on the average, if I'm using fossil fuel in my 1.5 cc car, I need maybe if I need like 800 cedis fuel to fill it for a month, someone using an electric vehicle will charge their car on the average of 2.3, less than 2.3. So if I'm doing 800, then the person is doing around 300 cedis on that. That is what we mean by reducing cost of living through transportation. So availability of fairly priced parts for these vehicles. And once they are available and they are fairly priced through the flat rate system that will be introduced when it comes to importing these parts. And don't forget that we've also mentioned that in the strategy, assembling will be part of it. So with time, the manufacturing of these parts will become part of the whole value chain in country. But as we start introducing them, we import parts. There should be a flat rate for it so that it can be fairly priced. Not that someone is bringing in it from another country. Once you are bringing in parts, if it's a 20-footer, if it's a 40-footer, it comes at a flat rate. So you know that these parts are coming in. So it gives a way to even predict and sustain pricing. But if they are fairly priced and available, they must be accessible anywhere to anyone. So we are also looking at building the marketplace for these, and these things are online. The world is going digital, and Dr. Bami has been a champion of that. So digital, and who do you again engage? The fintechs. They're already doing fantastically well. Young people are building a lot of apps, a lot of platforms, marketplaces for these things. Now we have marketplaces for vehicles when you want them, but parts, you have to go to Abusokai and all that. Just recently at Postal and Courier Services, we registered a gentleman who said he wants to be taking vehicle parts in addition to fuel. So someone is on the highway, runs out of fuel, he will take it to them. That's a true courier service. So people like that can be incentivized to continue doing what they are doing. Then the third one is reforming our driver license system. Rather than you renewing your driver's license every other year, it's going to expand it to 10 years and you renew it every 5 years. Then one that we can, the fourth one is what we can't overemphasize. The Energy Committee has already spoken about it, and that's gold for oil. I mean, at the end of the day, the negotiations of the price and everything is what we take at the pump that makes meaning to us. So gold for oil, the expansion of it, it takes pressure off Forex, it takes pressure off a lot of things, and that also is something that we ensure. And when it comes to the vehicle charging systems for the EV, we're also going to ensure a serious energy mix, and the focus will be on solar, so that most of these plants don't come at prices that are not affordable and give meaning to reducing cost of living. Thank you.
Okay, so we would at this point take questions. We've heard the various presentations, basically running through very critical areas that affect the day-to-day lives of the people. Housing, food security, utilities, energy, transportation. And you'd realize that the issues have been touched on and connected to how it intends to help reduce the cost of living of the Ghanaian people. And clearly you would realize that most of the issues are things that are ongoing, which the Vice President intends to upscale going into the future. So when we talk about upgrade, it is basically to say that let's consolidate what we've been able to achieve whilst we pursue what's outstanding. Please get to the microphone and then we'll take your questions. Can you lift your hands and then you move to the microphones and then we'll take your questions. Please. GBC.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
My name is Peter Kwao Adato. I work with GH1 TV. Now, we understand that there is food challenge